Good morning. Quick sound check. Happy Tuesday. Turnaround Tuesday. We'll see what happens. All right, good. Thank you. Good morning. All right, here's what we got. So 435, it's really like 435.05. That's an important place. All right, below that, they come down toward the gap at 430. Well, what was yesterday's close? Yesterday's close was 433.79. So we'll call it a spike of 434 in how that works. That's number one. If they stay above 435, okay, they can begin working on once again, and they didn't get there in the pre-market, but they got close, 436.85. They may come up short, but that's a magnetic place up there, and it's the beginning of what I would prefer to be a short trade. Not sure they get there. They came up short in the pre-market and came all the way back almost to 435 already. So we'll see. But up in that zone is an opportunity. They're not going to just run away all day. It's not going to happen. It's options expiration week, quadruple witching. They're just you got some chasers in there, but the market will go back and forth. It's got to pull back. It's a little stretched. So with that being said, above 435 and change, we're going to look for a push higher, 436.85. Again, it's a give or take. Okay. And the top of the zone is really closer to 438, 437.90, 438.05 in that ballpark. Okay, so it's a buck and change. That's the zone for a short. You can't ride it up there because it's buy high, sell higher. It's not a real trade. It's a hit and hope. So we're not going to do that, and we'll be patient. We'll wait for the market to do something that we prefer, just like yesterday. If they don't, they don't. Okay, we're not going to get impatient. We're not going to get itchy trigger fingers. We're not going to chase it around. We're not going to guess. That's not what we do. We treat it as a business. We take the opportunity when she presents herself. So just alter ego stuff right out of the chute. I don't want anybody chasing the market around. All right. So there really wasn't much for stocks on the move today. I tried to put Apple up there. I did put Apple up there, but it's not really close. Figured if things fell a little bit, they might get there. So we'll keep an eye on it. The other one was Zion. That may be close. Yeah, it's below the first number anyway. Okay. So Zion will be an opportunity. All right. That's what we've got. And with that, we got a little over a minute to post time. See what happens. Above 435, they really want to get to that next place, but that doesn't mean they will. Again, come up short. We'll see. All right, there we go. So Zion's got a gap down here. You see what's happening here. So they opened up. They're heading for the gap. I have it at 74 on the board. Break up candle low. If they're going to fight that, they'll go back up. They come below that, they'll fill the gap. It's pretty straightforward. Spiders, let them do their thing. Could they test 435.05 and bounce off of it? They can, but again, that's a coin toss at this stage in the morning with the market stretched to the upside. Can happen. I'm not doing that. That one would be for the trader that's real aggressive, that has to be in most every opportunity that pops up. Because if they get below, you got a $1.20 exposure there to fill the gap. And they can get below and pop back up. Sure, they can, but just be realistic and say, is that really the greatest trade on the board while they're up this high? No, that was the other number in Zion. So they did a tweener. Anybody take that? Yeah, John W., nice job. Took Zion. Yep, Dirk got it. Okay, good job. There we go. Another one. Wish I could say your name. Andres? No, I can't. It's not Andres. I don't know what it is. I'm sorry. Maybe you could phonetically spell it out for me. Andy. Oh, okay, Andy. Sorry. Andy. Perfect. Got Zion. Well done. And I'm sorry about that. James got it. Caught it near the low. Yeah, you guys are learning, right? Tweener. How often do we see that midpoint? It's pretty interesting, right? And it only works if you have the right numbers. Think about that one. So what's the low so far? 435.09 against 435.05. Garden variety stuff, not a shocker. We want to short them up higher. We want to buy them lower. This is in the middle of nowhere. Even though it's around an important number, you just have to do the right thing. So Zion's pretty much done. Let's see what the Qs are doing. All right, Qs, they're in the middle of, their place, right? Ran a test of the lower stuff. This is the next resistance, 364.45. So let the spiders push up a little bit, and if they give it to us, they give it to us. Looking around the horn, see if there's anything else moving out there. A couple things. We'll see if we can get some prices that make sense. Biogen, 299. No, bouncing it. Never mind. Let the spiders go. Let them go. Traders that did the opposite of what I said and bought near the pivot for a ride up. If there are any out there, you got to take profit along the way. You can't wait for 436.85. They might not get there. I'm not sure if anybody did. I didn't. I'm just saying they could be out there. Could it be 436.75, 65 even? It's possible. It's possible. It's just a big area up there. I knew there was somebody out there, Brian. Brian O, nice job. And he was going to buy lower. He was going to buy on a spike of 435, and that's fine. And he took a nice trade right up, and he knew what he was doing. You take the information, you do what you're comfortable doing. Just because I'm not doing something doesn't mean you can't. He knew the risk, took the trade. Nice job. I knew there was somebody out there. So we've got the transports up nicely. We've got smash mouth up nicely. The semis, financials are flat. Qs are up, a little bit of relative strength. IWM, a little bit of relative strength. So far, it's one of those. Okay. Doesn't mean it stays that way, but right now it is. Well, there's your pullback. Didn't even get close. 20. No, that's not even close. This little pullback does not take 436.85 off the table. Don't know if they get there, but if they get there or around there, that's a place I'm willing to take action. Not willing to ride it up. Brian was, I'm not, but I'm willing to take action up there. Armand, let's see. Well, 364.45, as long as they stay above 362.70, they should get there. But I can't say that they will. 361.30, that was yesterday. Pre-market. Pre-market? Maybe you're in with the futures, I'm not sure. But either way, yeah, pre-market, okay. It's up to you. I mean, you see the next exit point, it's 364.45, or the next, oh, here come the spiders again. So let's see if they could do it this time. You see them, Armand, they're right there. 364.45. And if they don't do that and the spiders do this, 436.85, then that would be kind of a hint that they're going to fall, because there should be a reaction up here. Now, you know the deal. Sometimes they come up short, sometimes they spike them through. Trader's choice, I'm giving you the number. I can't control the short or long of it, meaning come up short or go spike it through. Obviously, I can't control it, but I'm just giving you the numbers. See, we got a little bit of a divergence going on with the Qs. Let's get the same chart up so you could see it. Spiders are going one way, the Qs are stuck. Now, stuck isn't bearish, but if the spiders react back down from that place or wherever they do, from wherever, and the Qs haven't moved up, they're going to react back down as well, most likely from wherever they are. That's just my opinion. I don't know that to be a fact, so I'm kind of talking to Armand and everybody else because I know Armand's in a position. That's just my thought process and how this works. Doesn't guarantee it happens that way, but that's what I'm thinking. Just figured I'd do that data dump for you. Just makes logical sense to me. They're working on it. They're going somewhere, right? They're headed somewhere. This is the beginning of the zone, right? The top of the zone is around 438. This is an opportunity up here. 436.85, give or take. I would say they're in the give or take zone for those interested. If you're shorting here, you have to be willing to short higher. If you're not willing to short higher, you have to wait for a higher price, right? It's showtime. Okay? Got alarms going off. Okay. Let's see what we got. It's hard to see it at the top of the screen there, but you know what it's doing. Showtime zone. They spiked it. That's fine. That's normal garden variety stuff. I think they got above 437, right? That's no big deal. 437.18, that's a spike. And they're pulling back a little bit like they're supposed to. 435.85 is going to be a short-term support if they get there. 435.85. Okay, that would be a good exit for starters. Okay, so it's 4 points. Remember, 5 to 7, I'm not saying 435.85 is the first exit. 5 to 7 is your scalp. Okay, they've given it to you. All right, they've given you 5. Everybody should be thinking in terms of putting some profit in their pocket. You hold, and exit is 435.85. All right, they've given us the scalp. Now you protect it. Don't let it go bad on you. You can always short it higher again. And look at the cues. What did I tell you? See what patience does? Even though it's a small trade so far, patience pays, right? You just wait for them to get to the place that you want to take action. Yeah, nice, great job, Dieter. You had a nice day in the first candle, first 15-minute candle. Nice job, Michael. Yeah, Shannon, it's there. I know. That was what my alarm was. That was what my alarm was. It hit the first number. Okay, this is turning into a nice trade now. Okay. Now you got 8 points. Nice job, Brian. Oh, I know you were going to take the other side too. Of course. What did I tell you about the cues? Remember we talked about that? Wherever the cues are and the spiders react, they're going to go down. I hope you exited, Armand. I'm rooting for you. Look at this trade, folks. About 10 points more. You know, below 435.85 is 435.05. Same routine on the way back down. Then you get into no man's land with below today's low, but one step at a time, right? You just wait for the number. That's what we do. Ah, another candidate for the long trade, Jeff. Nice job. So Jeff was also long, Jeff C. Nice job, David K. You're welcome, Michael H. This is just the morning trade, folks. This was the plan. Now they're bouncing at that place. No surprise. Exits had to have been taken. Okay, Carmine, great job. You're welcome. Chris got Zion, nice job. And this one, great job. Thomas got it. I mean, this is what we signed up for. I told you yesterday, Bupkis. What follows Bupkis? The opposite of Bupkis. All right, the next spot is going to be 435.05. Nice job, Steve. Steve K. Shannon, very nice. Thanks, Jeffrey C. Jeffrey C. Gerardo, how about 5K today? How's your day going? If they go back up, they go back up. You just don't let the remainder go bad on you. At this point, you should have had more than a base hit. There may be, but you have to be, I'm talking about the cues. The question is, James, and is there a long trade at the gap and the cues? Well, there may be, but the gap is just a gap. It happens to be yesterday's close. It may bounce the tape, but my number is slightly below. So you would say you'd have to call that a zone. That's my opinion. So Will, 7,600 bucks on the spider short trade. How's your day going? Nice job. Well done. That's a real number. That's an adult number, right? On a trade, that's an adult number. So is 5 grand. So is 2 grand. On a trade, it's an adult number. Stand up double. Nice job, Robert. I love that. It is crazy, Mika. I agree with you. I've thought that for years. Sometimes I stare at the screen and I laugh when they hit a number and react from it. And I say, it's just hard to believe. Even, you know, I get, not that I'm amazed, but with all the stuff going on all the time, it's still about the number. They're going to a number. I can't always give you the exact number, but I'm going to be close a lot of the time. And today is an example of they were just going to a number. The faster they go there, the more confident I am that that's what's happening. Okay, nice job, Armand. That's 3K. That's good. Great job. It's another adult number. 25 minutes into the day. Either the ES or options. I don't know specifically, Nick, but both. You know, if you look at the ES, we'll just do this real quick. I'll do it in 1 second. Let me just make sure I update the notes accordingly. I'll be right back. I'm back. So we were talking about how do you make money with the vehicles, and some traders are hearing these numbers and say, how the hell can I do that? And, you know, if you're using options, then you have to be aware that if you're wrong, you know, you're going to be in the red really fast, large. So it goes both ways, risk, reward, risk, reward. With the ES, same thing, but here's how the numbers work with the ES. Let's just use easy numbers. 10 points and 2 contracts is $1,000. All right, it's just that simple. So if you get 15 points on a trade total and you had, let's say, 4 contracts, all right, I'm just making up easy numbers, $4,000. There's your numbers. You don't have to have a tremendous account to do 4 ES contracts. You have to have a margin account, you have to have a futures account, and you have to have a broker that has a good margin rate, you know, good margin requirement. But, you know, that's the way it works. And you don't have to be there today, but you can work there. You can start with the MES, which are the micros. You can buy those in lots of whatever because they're small. They're 1/10 the size of the ES. I'm not telling you what to trade. I'm just telling you one of the things that a lot of traders in here use. And I've been instrumental, I think, for good reason, to at least introduce traders to futures that were trading these same day expiration or weekly expiration options. And I think a lot of them have found better comfort level with the futures and have adopted them. Again, I'm not telling you what to trade. I want to expose you to what's available. Make your own decision. Gerardo made a post that it's going to take me a couple of days to read, so bear with me here. Thanks, Gerardo. I appreciate all that. Basically, what Gerardo is saying, I'm not going to read it out loud. It was a very nice commentary from him to me. And he's basically saying he's learning and he's being patient, and the patience is paying. And, you know, he used to overtrade like a lot of us, most of us at some point. And he's basically stopping that, and he's narrowing down to the store is open all day, but you don't have to shop there all day. It's a morning business. Take his 2-3 trades a day, whatever, first 2 or 3 hours of the day, whatever it is, and he's going about his business. And guess what? It's working. Thank you, Gerardo. Appreciate that. I ad-libbed my own stuff, but that's what you said. You're welcome, Mika. It's not, don't think of it as stupidity. It's just not, it's not designed, well, I shouldn't say it's not designed. It's very difficult to be consistent unless you're right all the time using options. And you can use them in here because there are traders using them in here because we're right most of the time. But they're still harder because if you're wrong even for a few hours and you're using same day expiration, even if I'm right, you still may lose. That's the problem. You know, those days when it takes a long time for the trade to work out, and you know, you get into trade at 10 o'clock and next scene shows it's finishing up at 12 or 1. You know, and you're in an option that expires today, you're lucky to get back to even in that trade. That's part of the problem. Because you have a bias, Paul. You got to get rid of the bias. The bias, it allows your mind to believe there's a short when there isn't. You're in an uptrend, the market's floating. We talked about it yesterday at least 10 times. Don't short a dull tape. Why do you want to short it? How many times did I say it yesterday? And if you did it after I said it, then the problem is you're not fully engaged in what we're doing here. You're doing it on the surface, but you're still incorporating whatever you're seeing or believe you're seeing to do your own trades, and it's counterproductive. You have to pick a horse and go with it. And if I'm the horse, fine. If I'm not the horse, fine. But it's got to be your horse. You have to make that decision. You have to be either all in or all out, meaning all into one strategy or one concept or one person or one room, one this or something else. You have to be committed and just do it the way I say. You're not doing it the way I say, unfortunately. Okay, that's fine. Listen, learn from it. Use it as a positive. You did something you shouldn't have done yesterday. You realize it. Use it as a positive. Don't do it again. I know how hard it is. It's the temptation is just overwhelming sometimes. Can we hold for 435.05? You can hold for as long as you want, as long as you're in the money with the trailer. So who asked that? Whoever, Michael H. Yes, you can. This is the never know trailer, right? They may stop you out later. They may run up there in the next 5 minutes and stop you out. You may have lowered your stop to in the money, not necessarily your entry price. That's fine. They also may come down. We don't know, but this is the one you don't know if 2 hours from now they give you 30 points out of this. You have no idea. That's why we hold the trailer for the quote unquote, air quotes, never know. It happens to all of us, Jorge, in this business. Everybody wipes out accounts and worse. It just happens, and there's different degrees. Happened to me a long time ago, and you learn.
I wiped out a futures account right before the crash in March. Not a big one.
It happens to everybody.
It was because I
It doesn't make us feel better, but just know that you're not in a class by yourself when you say, oh shoot, I wiped out an account or I got wiped out.
I fat fingered and bought 100 micro contracts instead of 10, and I was too scared to get out.
And what do I say when you make an error like that? What's the first thing you do?
Cut and run, baby.
You just get out of it. Very hard to do, but that's the mechanics of how it's done. You're going to make mistakes. Jordan's going to make another mistake. I'm going to make another mistake. I do it still today. I told you this before. I hit the wrong button. I'm short when I want to be long or vice versa. And I immediately, and you know, I've done it right here while we're talking. I said, I just made a mistake and I just get out immediately and I take the hit. If it's a few bucks, it is. Sometimes I get a win. Sometimes I get a point loss, a few ticks, whatever. It's as fast as I did the mistake, I get out. Just, you learn. No, I don't have any thoughts on Tesla really. It's just melting up, and I said just don't short one of the strongest stocks in the tape. You know, so we said that last week a number of times. I'm just going to stick with that for now. It might be, but I'm not going to I'm not going to even entertain shorting one of the strongest stocks on the board. I don't think it's a good idea. So I'm going to keep you away from it if I can. Yeah, James, you don't want to hear my numbers. That's a big number. Yeah, Jeff, I've been talking about those on the videos at night. I would urge you to watch them. The IWM numbers, I posted them, I put them in red lights. There was a swing trade alert in preparation for the numbers. Mark B is asking 436.85, a play it again type of number. There may be one before that if they went back up, but at this stage, they're coming down. So we'll worry about it if they go back up, and we'll see. But the more the morning creeps on, the more the participation wanes, and you know the drill. And here's the other thing, Mark B, write this down, put it on a sticky note. First time, best time. Let me repeat it. First time, best time, always. We get play it again, Sam's, but first time, best time. That goes for any trade, any number, first time, best time. That's why I hate when they come up short by 15, 20 cents and they pull back and then they go back up later. That's kind of like first time, best time. And that's why I always say, well, it's not the same as it was before. Even though they didn't get there, they come close and then they get rejected. Well, that was included in that first time would have been the best time. And now it's kind of the second time, even though they came up short the first time. That's my philosophy. And it's not a secret. Like traders will tell you first time, best time. I don't have the patent on that one either. So traders still short 435.05, give or take. That's another exit. What are my thoughts on funded futures accounts? Are they real? You mean like Carlos is asking, you mean like, what's the one? I know of one of them. They've been around a long time. I can't think of the name. Apex, I don't know that one. Okay, I don't know that one. Two of you put in Apex. There's another one. I can't remember. Jordan and I talked about it years ago. Jordan, you remember that funded futures account where they give you a certain amount of fake money to trade, but you get to keep the profits if you can make them?
Let me look up something like trade to win or trade for. I'll find it.
I can't remember what it was.
Top Step.
Thank you. Top Step Trader. That was one that's been around a long time. And the question is, are they worth it? Are they real and all that? Yeah, I think they're real, but I think well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know, but you could try them out. I think you could try them out for a low monthly fee, and that's your total exposure. And as long as you follow their rules and stay inside the daily maximum loss and all that stuff, once you get over a certain amount, you get to keep the profits. So it's for real. I don't know how easy or hard it is. If you're right, you're right. If a trade's going to work, like, would this one have worked today? Of course. So
I,
yeah, it's probably worth a look if that's a direction you need to go. And I
I,
understand that.
I believe they are legitimate, and I know one personally from Forex side. They're also all very selective, so typically they go with like the top like 1 to 2%, and they prefer people that kind of have strategies that generate consistent results that have low volatility.
Your answer, and there comes your 435.05. It's coming. Okay, you got to exit here. That's the bottom line. Yeah, the Q's filled the gap, but my number was down here. We talked about it before, Jeff C. You got to exit. You got to exit. They can snap it. They can come down. If you have multiple exits, you got to take one here and you hold it. If this is your last one, it's trader's choice, but this is the spot. All right. Nice job, Michael H. See that? This is turning into a Whopper Junior. This is the snapback. This spike the low, rip it back up, 435. All that stuff is applied right here. I'm not saying go long. Listen, I'm not going long here after the short. All right, you can. I'll take my money and pack it in for the time being. It's almost 20 points. James, rewire the brain. Never looks like. We don't know. I'm not doing that to you. I'm doing it for you just to change our thinking. It never looks like the Qs are going to my number. They may get to the number, but they are doing what they're doing. And you see what happened? You got faked out. It looked like, and as soon as you wrote that, they bounced. They may get to my number, but I just don't want you to think that way. That's all. James N. I'm helping you. I'm teaching you. I just don't want us to think it looks like, because it never really looks like. We think it looks like, because we see something happening and we think it's going to continue. And that's why it looks like. But the reality is things don't necessarily always continue. What's happening now isn't necessarily going to happen in 5 minutes from now. So they did the spike the low and rip it back up in the other direction. We're familiar with that. I'm sure there's traders that took that trade. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. I just wasn't in for a bang bang, have to reverse the trade type of situation. Not after a 20-pointer. They come again. So this could be a gap and crap situation also, right? Options expiration, weird stuff happens. They're not going to just run away, quote unquote. I said that before the open. I've seen this before. It was stretched. There were chasers. They got a pie in the face today. We didn't get a pie in the face. They got a pie in the face, courtesy of us, figuratively speaking, right? They're buying and we're selling it to them. How'd that work out? Pretty good for us. 3K, nice job, Jerome K. That's fantastic. Another adult number. Yeah, we talked about the IWM, Michael B. These aren't the daily numbers in the IWM. These are old and stale. This one isn't. This one was the first number in the zone. That's the only one that's good. That's the other side of the zone. You know the routine, 435.05, we'll call it 435 for argument's sake. Start closing candles below. They leak into no man's land down towards the gap at 433.80, give or take. They stay above 435.05 and they'll float back up. It's that simple. You're basically kind of extended from it within an on-time situation. This candle closes in 5 seconds and it's putting in a sign or signal of a trend change. All charts act and react the same way. And that's the information I'm giving you. Do with it what you will. It's bullish above 435.05. It's bearish below on candle closes. That's it. Be back in a moment. I'm assuming, I shouldn't assume anything. Just want to double check. Anybody not understand what I said before just a couple minutes ago about on-time situation, sign or signal of a trend change, stay above 435.05? Anybody not get that concept? Yeah, okay. Just want to make sure. Basically, what I'm saying is you could be long against 435 candle closes. That's what I said in so many words, in my way. I could have said it like that, but I need you to understand why I'm saying it. It's just for a trade. It's a scalp with potential. There you go. Michael, you didn't understand that. Have you taken the class? Lazy E Mini Trader? Do you watch the videos at night? No, that's why you didn't understand it. Okay. Well, it's something that it has to do with time and price, and when they converge, there's usually a trade there. So I can't give the class in here. Okay, Stevie H is asking, can you explain candle closes? What time frame you're referring to? Good question. So this is the way it works. Everything that I do is based on time. So for example, the longer they stay above or below a price, the more likely we're going to see the next price in the sequence, if you will. So it starts from a small time frame and it morphs from there. So you close a 5-minute candle above, okay. Close a 10-minute, okay, better. Close a 15-minute, okay, better yet. And then it starts to smell like they're going to move up. Okay, when you see five, I usually say 5s, 10s, and 15s. So a 10-minute candle and a 15-minute candle. 110 doesn't do it. 1.5 doesn't do it. 115 starts to do it. So it's about time, and there's no specific thing like if they close this amount of candles above, then this happens. It doesn't work like that, but it does work in terms of time. And the longer they stay above something or below something, the more likely it is they're going to move to the next place. And that's the way you read it. It's the best I can offer. You're welcome. So technically, we had some traders take a long at the open, very few. We had the short, we had a ton of traders take the short. And this is really the, second to slash, I'm not going to call the first one an opportunity because it wasn't. That was just trader's choice. So really second opportunity is as long as they stay above 435, you can get a scalp out of it with potential. And you may have already done that. And remember, they don't have to stay above. This doesn't have to work. Nothing works all the time. But this is what I teach. It's right out of the textbook. There is no textbook. And it's going to work a lot. Not every time, it's going to work a lot. All charts act and react the same way. And with that, I'm going to take a couple of minute break and walk around. All right. Back in a few minutes. You got any questions, put them in. I'll be back in, 3-4 minutes, something like that. Okay, I'm back. Anybody take that long trade? Anybody riding this long? Anybody make any money? How you guys doing? How's your day going? What follows a slow day? A not slow day. Talked about it yesterday. Love it. Thanks, folks. A lot of you participated. Just a laundry list. A laundry list of traders. Well done. Will's up now 7,700 today. I had to breathe that one out loud. Come on. Well done. 2 trades. Patience. Just wait for them to do the next thing. We could have bought the spike of the low and ripped it back up, but you know what? I wasn't sure that they weren't going to continue down to the gap. Could have been a gap and crap. Could still be one later. But once I saw what was developing, then you had something to trade against. It was either going to work or it wasn't. Now don't let it go bad on you. Right back down to 435, 05, or whatever they did. Yeah, it's not worth much, Jeffrey 8, FOMC meeting has begun. Yeah, we don't care. And I appreciate you saying it. I'm just saying we don't care because nothing matters until tomorrow afternoon in terms of the FOMC. Jeffrey C, bounced being rejection. I'm not sure what that means. They just back tested the number again. That's all. What kind of candle they got going in the hourly chart of the Qs? By the way, let's see the hourly chart of the spiders. It's tail, reversal. Tail could be reversal. Maybe they retraced the tail. Reversal. They could climb the breakdown candle, but that's a reversal candle. That's a tail candle. Those are hints. They're not guarantees, they're hints. Instead of looking at a 5-minute, which who knows what this looks like, you stretch it out a little bit and you say, well, what's going on here? Well, they're still floating above 435.05. That was what we said early on. Above there, they can still float, which is why it came with that whole synopsis before off that 5-minute chart. All charts act and react the same way. There you go. Pretty interesting. Resistance 436.35 to 436.50. I'm giving you the 35 because you have to exit in front of 436.50. That's probably where they're headed. 436, 40, 50, 45, 48, 49, 50, 52, something like that. That's where they're going. And you have to exit, take an exit. Don't have to be all out, but you got to exit up there. We still have traders riding it long, by the way. Yep. Okay. Just make sure you take that next exit. By the way, you should have already taken a profit anyway. It's 10 points. I'm just saying. And most of you are out anyway, at least some of it. Meaning you're in the driver's seat, risk-free, emotionless trade. Don't we love those? Yes. All right, here they come. I'll just put it at 40. It's a give or take. 50 is the number, putting it at 40. It's going to look like they're going to go get the highs and then they're not. That's kind of this, that's this scenario. No, Will. No, as we get later in the morning, I'm less interested. First time, best time. Never short a dull tape. Less participation. Will they come down again? Probably. Am I going to short it again at the same price? No. If they went higher, the next price. When the big brokerage do a large transaction, are those broken up into specific times of the day? No, absolutely not. Whenever they want to do them. Large transactions are often broken up, but not because of time or day or through time. I mean, you don't know what they're doing. Don't assume anything. And it doesn't matter either way. Nothing you could do with that information, knowing that they might be doing that. Doesn't matter. Be right back. It's slow. Any other questions out there while we're watching? There you go, Kyler. Got right in the middle of the zone. Remember, 436.40, 40 to 50. It's right on the page, David, that you see the link to log in. Just read that page. It's right there for you. They're trying it again. They should get there. 40 high. Exits? Good job, Bob. Yeah, you could use either contract right now. Who asked that? David? But most are using the September at this point. No, doesn't matter. But September is the contract. All right, so they got to the 40. By the way, those of you that are on the Twitter deal, I just posted one of those tweets about this trade. Do me a favor. Go, if you participated and you made money and you're a Twitter person, go comment under there, please. If you're not, don't worry about it. I appreciate it. About 3K on Nick V. Nice job. Well done. No advantage at all, Grant. I'm just telling you, both have volume and both are trading, but you trade the September contract now. It's just a vehicle, goes up and down with the spiders, goes up and down with the September contract, does the June, goes up and down with the SPX, it goes up and down. It doesn't matter. I'll be back in 30 seconds. So they got to a high of what? 436.40. What was the number? 436.40. It was actually a little bit higher, but the come up short thing worked out to be 40. See how things slow down? You need participation. You could be in a long during a floater market, that's fine, but you need participation to do the type of trades that we want for the morning trade. The morning trade is over. We had 2 of them. That's fine. Plus, several of you got the Zion trade. So that was a trifecta for some of you. Hat trick. No, Nick, it was a long trade, Zion. Not a long option trade, a long trade. Zion. See that? Forget that. Color doesn't matter. That was the trade. 2804. They opened below the first number, which was up here, which took this off the board. Then they activated the second number and they bounced. Yes, it was a buy. You're buying support. If that's not clear, then we need to talk about it. You make money by buying the stock and having it bounce. I'm not sure I understand. Yeah, you have, well, yeah. I mean, it's a trade. If you don't have the account to trade it, you can't. No, not once it reverses at the number, just same as we do with every other trade. After it reverses, you've missed it. We're just buying the numbers, Nick. I don't want to make it any more complicated than it is. You buy the number when it's falling. That's a support number, just the same as the spiders. Buy 435 or you sell 436.85. Either, it's the same routine. Nice job, Grant. 16 points today, 16 and a quarter to be precise. Well done. Nick, I just want to circle back to the Zion thing. You know, I understand what you're saying now. I think I do. And you have to realize that there's something for everybody here. There's traders in here that may have taken Zion with 2,000 shares, 3,000 shares, 1,000 shares, 500 shares, all over the board. It just depends on your account, what you're willing to do, what you're capable of doing, what your risk tolerance is, all that stuff. Then there's traders in here that don't have the sufficient capital to trade stocks like that. And they're limited to either futures or options. And options bring a whole different dimension of risk with these stocks on the move. They're not meant to be traded with options. They can be, some of them, but they're not meant to be traded with options. It's a stock trade. It's really quiet. I'm going to walk away again for a few minutes, take an opportunity while there's nothing going on. I'll be back. Just a little word on mindset right now. So let's take the contingent of traders in here. Some did nothing. Okay, there are traders in here that probably did nothing today. Fine. There are traders that got 2 or 3 trades today, maybe some that got 1. The morning trade or morning trades is complete. There can be another trade over the next, let's say, 20 or 30 minutes, but it's unlikely. Are they going to spike the high? Are they going to run up to the next number in the next half an hour? Probably not. They're just floating around. So we have to have the mindset that regardless of what we've already gotten for ourselves today, this may be it. Then you get into the don't short a dull tape. You chase the market around. They might come down. I'm going to short the tape. All that stuff. You don't do that. You take what you get and you go about your business. It's a store. It's open all day. You don't have to shop there all day. You have to be realistic about when the best trading opportunities exist, which is generally speaking, in the first 90 minutes of the trading day. That's why this is a morning business. That's why we're closed in the afternoon. Because the majority of the time, the afternoon is mush. Maybe minus the last hour, but you're running out of time on the clock and you don't want to get stuck in something, and I'm not sticking around all day, and that's the way it works. So you have to get used to that. You have to retrain the brain to understand when the premium or prime time for premium opportunities is. And 80, 85, 90% of the time, whatever it is, it's going to be in the morning. Yes, there are trades in the afternoon. You don't have to have them. They're not the same trades. Now they'll go up to 50. If they spike the high, it'll be to 50. They'll spike it by 10 cents and find new resistance. See what happens. Just play a game and see what happens. Nah, look better here. Yeah, make this, just for argument's sake, make this 363. Here comes 50, and there's 50. Not that we were doing anything with that. I was just saying. Above here, it opens the door to the highs of day. Will they get there? I don't know. If they do, honestly, I don't care. I'm not going to short the high of day. I'm not going to short a spike of the high of day for a pullback in the other direction. Why? Because it's getting too late in the morning where I don't want to short a dull tape. I don't want to short a bullish uptrend melt up situation. Why would I do that? Target? Let's take a look, Ilya. For a short, so this is called shorting in the hole. It was 180 bucks in January. Now it's 128, and it's a couple of bucks off the low. Where did they find resistance? Pardon me, support. Look at this. Market ran up to this spot, pulled back. Same spot. Can't short that. That's support. I don't know if they'll bounce it there, but that's support. You can't short it in the hole after all this. That's a no-no. Spider's ramping up. There's another number up there. I forgot what it is, but it's on the board. Let's find out. Yeah. Oh, 438 and change. That's it. Got 437.90. They never got there. I forgot about that. To 438, like 05. Okay. Just in case you're wondering. Don't short anything in the hole, Ilya, and anybody else. In the hole means it's already down. When stocks are down that much, you're looking for support. You're not looking to short it in the hole. The move has already happened. In Target, the move, yeah, they may come down here. This is a good zone, but we don't know that they will. Symmetry says it will, but we don't know that it will. Okay, you're welcome. There you go. Above the high, it opens the door for 437.90 to a spike of 438. And they just found resistance at the same number from before so far. Didn't know that was going to happen. It wasn't a short trade. I'm just narrating, right? First time, best time. We take out variable risk. There's always going to be risk, but we can take out some of the variable risk or as much as we can. And one of the variable risks that we talk about every day is this time of day. And certainly with the second time up, it's not the same as the first time, and it's not the same as during the morning rush. So it's variable risk shorting a dull tape. I don't want to do that. Why? Well, I call it the torture trade. They torture you up here. They may or may not come back down. First time in the morning, they're running a test of a place. Now they're running another test at the same place. Well, why'd they come back up here? Just to run another test or to go somewhere else? Well, we don't know. That's a coin toss. First time's not such a coin toss. Second time's a coin toss. I know I say the same stuff every day, but there's a reason behind it. You're going to get programmed to understand how this works. And even though you see something like this saying, oh, I should have shorted up there, they're pulling back, that's the wrong mindset. Was it a real quality trade? And the answer is no. Doesn't mean it won't work. It means I'm not taking it because it's not a quality trade, not like the first time. Now, if they get up to 437.90 and sooner than later, well, that's different. 438.05 in that zone, that's different. They ran up there in the next 20 minutes. It's a short. Is this the one where they just run sideways for a while up here, build some energy to go higher, pull back to 436.50? That was really the number. It was just a happenstance. It stopped at 430, yeah, 640 before. It was really 436.50. Yeah, thanks, Shannon. Shannon says, your discouragement for Tesla being a short for the last 3 or 4 days have saved several people money based on your responses we hear. Yeah, I know. I give the response on purpose. I know what this is. Some of you in the room here wanted to short Tesla earlier last week down here. and I discouraged that one. Remember that? You don't know where it's going to stop. It's a melt up. Remember we talked about this 257.50, give or take? What's the high today? 255.83. Yeah, it's close enough. I mean, who's to say they're not going to spike this today? I don't know. We had traders that wanted to short it here. And what I said was, and I'll say it now one more time, you don't, okay, I can't say you don't because I don't know you. So what I'm saying is, it's not the most ingenious thing in the world to short there they go, to short one of the strongest stocks on the board. You're trying to pick a top on one of the strongest, widest held stocks by all the mutual funds, all the hedge funds, all the traders love to trade it. They love to be long Tesla. You're fighting everybody. Why do you want to do that? Find something else. Spike the high, drop it back down. That's certainly possible. Not saying do anything with that. I'm just saying, but that's the next number. How many times do we see that? Spike the low, spike the high, drop it back down, rip it back up. Happens over and over and over again. Why? Because there are traders with stops up there. This is one of the reasons, this is one of the conceptual reasons we can't prove it, but it's a thing. There's liquidity up there. Traders have a stop above the high. Okay? They're shorting the tape. They get stopped out. Who's picking up those orders? Somebody on the other side of the tape. Again, you didn't know it was going to happen, but it happens a lot. I wasn't willing to do it, but I was willing to short 437.90. Be selective. Don't have to have every trade. You have to have the trades that make you comfortable. If you're uncomfortable in a trade, what happens? You're uneasy. You're anxious. You're looking for a reason to get out of the trade. So either you short yourself, meaning you get out too early and you leave a lot of profit on the table, or you take a loss and you're not waiting for the trade to work out because you're uncomfortable, because you're not sure about it. So we have to take trades that we're as individuals, as individual traders, are comfortable with. That's a big part of the process here. Jerome is asking, would a melt up going into the Fed announcement give you a bias for a move after the announcement? You mean like a sell the news? Possibly. But again, it's just, that's a coin toss. You can't make a trade based on that. It's a gamble. And you can make a bet if you want, but you have to realize that it's a bet. It's not a trade. It's not a percentage process driven mechanical trade, the kind we do. It's a bet saying after the announcement, I'm betting this is going to happen. Well, now you're betting on an event. You're betting on a reaction after an event, and we don't know what's going to happen. But there's certainly something to the sell the news. You know, you ramp all the way up into tomorrow afternoon, and it could be a sell the news event. So the answer is yeah, it could be, but the trading end of it is not the same. Right? It's more of a bet. Another on time situation. 3 minutes, 2 minutes, tail candle maybe, spike the high, on time. Again, I'm not shorting the tape. I'm telling you what it is. I'm about to go on a break pretty soon. I think TLT is down about 93 cents right now, Shannon, but there goes to the point. I wouldn't have bet TLT would be down $1.50 with CPI below expectations. Again, it has nothing to do with it. That's the whole point. You don't know which vehicle is going to move what for their own internal chart reasons, number reasons, whatever reasons. Doesn't matter. That's why it's just like earnings. Just because Apple beats the number doesn't mean they're not going to sell off, or vice versa, or any other stock. They're up after hours, you wake up the next morning, they're down. How'd that happen? Well, nobody knows. Everybody's scratching their head. You have no idea how something will react to any piece of information. And generally speaking, all that piece of information is an excuse to get to where they want to be. That's the way I look at it. It's a hard concept to wrap your head around. Everybody wants to think in terms of cause and effect. Because this happened, the effect is this. And it's not really the case. It looks like it is most of the time. And sometimes it actually is, obviously. I'm not going to say 100% of the time it's not. But the majority of the time, really the news really follows the tape. It's not the reverse. It's not the tape follows the news. Most of the time it's the other way around. Take the CPI data this morning. The market was already doing the thing overnight this morning. It's already rallying. That was the final thing it needed. That's it. It didn't even need it. News came out at 8:30 and the market didn't hit the number till, well, it hit it in the pre-market, but then it hit it later after the open, right? Oh no, pre-market didn't hit up there. Only after, I'm thinking of 435. Pardon me. I'm just babbling. So look at this. Let's talk again about, where we are, big picture. S&P's up 30 points, 30 handles. Everything else is up. Some more than others. Everything is up. There's no reason other than I have to have a trade and I'm taking a guess. There's no reason to short the tape in this kind of environment. That's my point. I'm trying to help you understand why not. Even though they may come down from here, it's a bullish day, and fighting the tape is not a lot of fun most of the time. Sometimes you win, but a lot of the time it's not a lot of fun fighting the tape. Not trying to talk you out of anything, just trying to help you understand what's going on here. Another pullback, maybe it comes down to 436, 20, 25, 436, 15, something like that. And that's fine. But I don't even know if they get there. Maybe they do, but that's where it would go. Maybe even a spike of 436 down here. Honestly, I'm not going to sit in a short over lunchtime for 70 cents. And I'm not minimizing 7 points. I'm just saying what I'm willing to do. If you are short, you're short against the high, because if they get above the high, they're going to go to 437.90 or try for it anyway. So against the high means that's where you're wrong. I give you all the information, you do whatever you like. We'll wrap up the morning session here in a few minutes. Last call, final questions for the morning. Last call for alcohol. 435.75 to 65. That's really the next place. 436 to 435.75. That's what we'll say. You're welcome. See this moving average? That's a little steep. I'm not in love with that. I think 436.15 could be support. The better place is 435.75 or so. We'll see. It's very slow. All right. Let's call it a morning. I'll come back at 12:15, do another look, see what's going on, have another short discussion or longer discussion, whatever it is. But right now they're just floating around, and that's it. It's a pretty good morning overall, so we're just gonna leave it at that. And we'll say I'll be back at 12:15. Take a break. Appreciate everybody. Nice morning. I was on mute. Thanks, Kyler. So let me refresh what I just said. First of all, we have a great job by Shannon and David, who took 435.75, and we have a Fark and Magic from Shannon and a Magic from David, who both took the long side. The trend line I just drew in there, the comment when I was on mute was, and Dirk took it too. Thanks, Dirk. And the comment was, you can use that trend line for the rest of the day. This is the deal where, forget about they spiked the high and pulled it back down. They put in the higher low. Now, the only way this gets broken is if they not only break the trend line, because that could still be a higher low, but they break this low. Then it changes the tape. But right now you have a higher low, and you could float them up all day long, just like yesterday. We don't know they will or they won't. They can. But the point is 435.75 was that higher low place. Nice job, Dirk. Nice job, Gerardo. Nice job, David K. and Shannon. Well done. I'm sure there's more out there, but that's who we've got posting it. It is kind of funny when it happens like that. It's not funny. It's just you start to expect it. Yeah. Nice day, Jerome. I agree. 4,200 on the day, Jerome. That's an adult number. Let's stick around a little while. You have a discussion about anything you folks want. I've got some time and I might as well allocate it to you. Thanks, Nick. That's what I try to do. It appears that the market in an up day has a pullback near the time you bolt for a break. Today it did. I don't know that that's the case every day. Tesla satisfied the number. Yeah, that number wasn't magic. That's not really a number like out of the calculator type thing. That's just, let's mark it on the chart. So the high of this breakdown candle is 257.50. All right, so if we just put it 257.50, 257.50, and what you know is the next place, again, not magic, 265 and a quarter. Okay, so when you drill it down now, that's your zone. Okay, you could see it here. This is no man's land. This is a gap, and this is whatever you want to call it. The entrance into no man's land. Some call it a gap window. I don't care what you call it. This is no man's land, and there's nothing in there. Doesn't mean they have to get to the gap. It means they generally will get to the gap at some point, but they could pull back first. But again, you don't want to short this. So I told you 100 times, maybe 200 times. Don't short this. They'll pull back from somewhere, but we could have said that, 10 times already. Yeah, I never said 257 was a short either. I know you know that, Robert. I'm just saying, yeah, it's just don't short one of the strongest issues in the market. Issue meaning a stock or a market or whatever. An issue means a stock, because this is getting parabolic. I get that, but you don't know where it's going to stop. We don't know whether they'll fill the gap this week or not, but everybody owns it. They're riding it up. You're fighting everybody. Why do you want to do that? You don't. There doesn't have to be a trade in everything. If you're not long now, Tesla, you can't buy it, and you can't short it here for all those reasons. So there doesn't have to be a trade in Tesla right now. If I'm flat in Tesla, I'm going to stay flat in Tesla until they do something I like. That's it. Yeah, no, I get it, Shannon. It's interesting too. I watch all this stuff all the time, fascinated by it, obviously. How about this one? Just for argument purposes or entertainment purposes, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, the zone, midpoint, pull back, staying below the first number. Interesting. We talked about this zone for days and days and days. Nobody's surprised at this. The problem with this is they already came close. So is this just resetting of the gun and they're going to go a lot higher? Well, they could go higher, but they're running out of time. Take that for what it's worth. Same thing, just looking at the same thing on a 5-minute chart. This trend line is good. That's a good trend line. That's a real trend line that works. Gives you a guideline. Stevie H, let's see what you got. So in Lazy Minitrader, you stated that when approaching a gap window, depending on how they approach it, you would trade it. Yeah. Well, I gave you all the reasons all day and for the last several days in Tesla. It's the concept when looking at the charts with no regard for what it is yes, you're going to have a reaction at certain places. And by the way, let's go back to Tesla. Okay. They'll be back to 257.50. Okay. Running up here today to fill that gap is likely not going to happen. Okay. So there's still resistance, but understand it was from a daily chart, right? We're looking at it, weekly chart. I don't care what you look at. This is a big time breakdown candle high. They're spiking it now, but intraday doesn't mean anything. This is the big picture. The big picture is, are they going to close the week above this or not? And if they do, they're likely already filling this gap. And then there's another number up here. Okay. 275 would be next up. another 10 bucks over 265. When you talk about shorting the strongest stock in the market for all those reasons where everybody owns it, you're fighting the tape, fighting everybody, it's a melt up situation, a short squeeze, all those things. Yeah, you have to take that into account. You have to take into account the current tape environment that you have. You don't short or buy every single number on the board regardless of when it happens, how it happens. That's not how it works. So I don't want you to misunderstand what's taught in the course by those are the absolutes no matter what's going on. That's not the case. So I want to make sure that we're on the same page with that. You're welcome. And I'm glad you asked the question. They're not going to run away, but again, that doesn't mean you short it. It's just like if we have a number and we talk about taking out variable risk. So let's talk about anything else. We'll talk about the spider again. And we say, well, what happens if they're at 437.90 to 438, give or take, at 3:45 this afternoon? You're going to short that? No. There's no time left on the clock. In the last 10 or 15 minutes a day, you got to throw the charts out because there's no time left on the clock. They're squaring up positions. There's sell programs, sell to close, buy to close, all kinds of imbalances. There's all kinds of things that happen at the end of the day that you don't need to participate in, nor do you want to, because you don't really know what's going to happen until it happens. And so you don't have any time left. And therefore, if you're caught in a bad position at 3:45 in the afternoon, you're going to have to hold it overnight, or you're going to have to take a loss. You want to trade with 15 minutes left on the clock. So that's one of those variable risk things that we say, well, even because they're at the number, that means I'll short it. No, it has to be the right setup. And the setup could be time of day. The setup could be how they got there. Did they creep into it all afternoon? That's not the same trade as if they ran up there in the morning. Look what happened here. They ran up to it in the morning and were rejected. They did it again. See this big candle? They were running up there again, spike the high, drop it back down. You didn't know that was going to happen, but this one was a bona fide trade. Okay. Now, if they creep up there, you're going to short that again? No, it's not the same. Might work, but it's a coin toss as opposed to this one back here. So not all trades are created equal, even though the mechanics of what we do don't really change, but how the market gets there, how it does what it does, and when it does what it does play a role. So we want to remove variable risk that we don't need as much as we can. And shorting the tape over lunchtime is a variable risk I don't need. Again, this short up here would have worked. But again, I knew that. I didn't know it was going to work, but I knew it could work, but I didn't want it. We had traders that bought it down here. It's a better trade. In an uptrend, you buy the pullback is a better trade than trying to short it. It's just variable risk. If I had to pick one, I want to buy a pullback in an uptrend and I want to sell a rip or sell a rally in a downtrend. Those are the best trades because you're trading with the tape, not fighting the tape. Variable risk you don't need. Write this stuff down. Okay, that's interesting, Will. I don't know what you could do with that information. So AMD's having some kind of investor conference, showcase day. Okay, fair enough. What are you going to do with that? You're going to buy it or are you going to sell it? It's a coin toss. Maybe nothing happens. I'm not sure you could do anything with that information. Sometimes, like Apple is a good example. Apple will be having a new product announcement, one of their, once or twice a year, they do those dog and pony shows. And they did one with the VR recently. So sometimes they run up into those events and they sell for a day or so, or that day they'll sell a couple of points based on the news, whatever, sell the news. But you can't trade based on that. It's a guess and a gamble. It's a bet. It's not a trade at a number for a reason. Now you're bringing in a third dimension, which is variable risk you don't need. You're adding a piece of news and you're saying, well, based on this piece of news, here's what I think is going to happen. And Will, I'm not saying you're doing this. I'm just saying this is good conversation. Based on this piece of news, this should happen. Therefore, I'm going to take a position. Well, now you've added variable risk. You don't know anything's going to happen. And now you're getting away from the mechanics of the numbers and the charts, and you're adding a dimension of news that just confuses the situation. That's the way I look at it. Take it for what it's worth. You're welcome. These are all good discussions because a lot of these things that I keep repeating over and over again, and there's new people in here that trickle in from time to time. They haven't heard it before. Somebody that showed up today, I don't know if we have any new people today, but if we show up today, you haven't heard any of this stuff before. So I'm okay with repeating all this stuff. Plus it helps reinforce, when you hear me say the same thing over and over again every day, take heed. I'm not doing it to hear myself talk. But it's perspective that many of you have never heard before. And I don't have a patent on being right. I have my way to look at the market. And if it helps you understand how to approach the market for yourself, then we're good. Some things you'll just hear me say it, doesn't make sense to you, don't need it, don't care about it, discard it, that's fine. You pick and choose what you want to utilize based on what I teach and what I say. Some of you will always take trades in the afternoon, no matter what I say. You're going to do it no matter what I say. And that's fine, as long as you understand what you're doing and that I told you not to. Yeah, thanks, Ben. Yeah, it's always good to hear another perspective. Again, I don't have a patent on everything. So Ben's saying that he appreciated Jordan's participation on Friday and running the room. I appreciate it. Thanks very much. And it's nice to get another perspective. He had slightly different numbers than I had. And doesn't matter. They were close. Oh, sure, Kyler. My swing trades have nothing to do with the FOMC. The only time I'll take a swing trade off is maybe I've had it on for a few weeks. I'm likely not taking, well, let me back up. So I'm likely, unless I don't realize it, which happens, I don't like to take a swing trade in a stock that's right in front of earnings, for example. So if something's going to report earnings tomorrow or Thursday or Friday, am I going to enter a new swing trade now? Most likely not, because anything goes, right? You throw the charts out the window the day of earnings. So the same goes for the FOMC. I'm not going to be in a trade, in a day trade. I'm not going to be in an ES trade or an SPY trade or a QQQ trade tomorrow afternoon. But a swing trade that I took last week or today has nothing to do with the FOMC. The FOMC is a point in time. It's not going to determine that the tape is going to get more or less bullish. Well, less it could be, but it's not going to get any more bullish after the FOMC. It's either going to stay bullish and go higher, or they're going to stall out and pull back. But I'm not going to guess, and I'm not going to let that, sway me. Not all of them will. Some are commodities, some are index related. It's whatever I feel I can make money at. It's whatever I do the analysis, and when they hit the numbers, that I don't care what it is. I do not hedge positions. No, that's hedging a position means you're not sure. So why take the trade if I'm not sure? Every trade I take, I'm 100% sure. I'm not 100% sure that it will work out. I'm 100% sure it's the right price, the right trade setup, with the full and complete understanding that they're not all going to work. I know that. But going into the trade, my assumption is it will work because I did it for the right reasons. But I'll never hedge a position because that just says, well, I wasn't sure. So why take the trade? Like if I took a short spider trade on a swing basis right now, and what Will is saying was, would you buy calls to hedge the position, for example? And my answer is no, because now I'm buying an insurance policy on a trade. So what that tells me is I need insurance because I'm not sure the trade's going to work out. Well, then don't take the trade. It's a directional trade in that case. Now there's other strategies with those fancy option stuff that Jordan knows and talks about. I don't know if he talked about it on Friday, but there's all fancy names. There's spreads, strangles, iron condors, this, that, and the other thing. I don't even know what they are half the time. That's not for me. It's not my cup of tea. That's where you're selling a put, selling a call, doing a three-way trade. It's all kinds of stuff. It's not for me. And net debit, credit spread, all that stuff. that's above my pay grade. If I have to think about it, if I have to think about how to make money in a trade for more than 5 seconds, it's not for me. Yeah, Shannon, it's you have to learn it because it's the wrong trade the large majority of the time. What we're talking about is learning not to take a short in anything in an uptrend is difficult. That's what Shannon says. Very common mistake that hurts most. Yes. Yes. It's variable risk you don't need. Swing short, I get it. Either way, it doesn't matter. Yep, Ron, you're right. I like to keep it as simple as possible. If it takes me, like if I have to search too hard for a number on a chart, for example, it's not there. I'm going to stop looking. Sometimes, someone will bring up, can you look at this? And I'll say, I don't have it. There's not, or in the morning, there'll be a stock on the move and I'll get emails, hey, how come this one's not on the board? And the answer is because I don't have the number. I just can't find it, or it was in other words, the stop that it would have had to been would have been too far. The next number to create a zone would have been too far. And therefore, I can't offer it up. Any combination of those things happens all the time. You don't see them because they don't make it on the board. Happens all the time. Yeah, let's take a look at NVIDIA because I'll have a comment on that. Look at this. So everybody wanted to call a top in NVIDIA, right? And it pulled back a little bit, but it's bullish. It's in an uptrend and it just went sideways for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, basically 8 days and started to move up again. Let's call it 7. Funny how that works. All right. And here we are, right back up, not at the highs, but not that far away. How many traders are short NVIDIA? How many traders shorted NVIDIA the next day? And now they have a pie in the face, right? Who knows? I don't know the answer to that stuff, but kind of interesting that your highest volume day was the move up on the gap up, not the reversal back down with the tail candle. What does that tell you? It tells you it's still in an uptrend. But it's still an uptrend on the chart anyway. But that should give you pause. Anyway, that's participation, regardless of the reason. You had the most participation on the gap higher. Look at the weekly chart. The most volume, most participation on the run higher, not the stall out. Decreasing volume for the last couple of weeks. It's not ready yet. It's a breakout. You don't know where the top is. Does it have to be at 400? Why can't it be at 450? We don't know. Is there a short or a long in NVIDIA right now if you're flat? No. No. It's a spectator sport for now until something happens that changes that. Nice job, Gerardo. Gerardo, 4K extra. Armand, Q's closed out for the day, 5.5K. These are adult numbers, folks. Your average cost is 35 bucks a share, Will. Isn't that something? That's being in the driver's seat. Will's in for years. He's owned NVIDIA. It's 35 bucks a share, average cost. How you doing? Right, you get no worry in the world with NVIDIA. So, if not it's one of the best performing stocks over the last several years, period. It's a process, Nick. You got to start somewhere. That's all I could say. You got to start somewhere. But it's encouraging to know that others doing it, which means there's no reason you can't. You have to compound the earnings, the winnings. You have to pile up the base hits. You'll get some doubles. You get a triple or two and a home run. And then over time, you'll increase your position size and you'll get to the numbers. It doesn't happen overnight. I wish it did, but I can't tell you it does because it doesn't. So we had almost a high of day early. Some traders bought almost the low of day here. I'm not sure about a short here. I'm sure there were some, but then we had another buy down here by a handful. It's pretty good. Have a good day, Robert L. Thank you. No, in fact, Nick, that trade was, the number was given out before I went on break. I said 435.75, give or take, whatever I said. But the trend line wasn't created until the low was made. This trend line, think about it like this. If you take this trend line off, it wasn't there, and price was up here, there was no pivot low to create the trend line. Only when this pivot low was created by that low at that number did a trend line show up, and the market drew the trend line, not me, right? The market made the trend line, and I noticed it, and I said, here's a trend line. Market just made the trend line at the number. I just had that number. That's correct. That's fine. I get it. You were distracted with work. So what? I get it. You can ask any question you want. I had that number. I gave it out before I left for a break. First they said 436, 436.15 could hold, but then I said 435.75. Yeah, Shannon, I think I was talking with you about 436.15. Either you or Grace, I can't remember. But yeah, did that work too? 436. You're right, it did. Right here. 436.15 worked also. Yeah, pretty amazing, right? How do you do that? I get that a lot. How do you do that? It's FM. They're just bouncing around here now. There's no trade. I'm just hanging out, but I'm going to wrap it, call it 10 minutes, give or take. First, I'm going to walk away for a couple. I'll even put up the sign. Back in a couple of minutes. All right, I'm back for a few minutes. You take that trade, Will? Were you in that thing? CHPT? I remember looking at it yesterday. Thanks, Bob V. Nice to hear. Well done. Okay, that's fine, Will. You just asked about it. We talked about it. Doesn't matter. You didn't take it. Let's take a look at it. That was it. Stay on. Look at that rocket ride. I mean, what is that? In percentage terms, it's like what? 13, 14, 15%. Thanks, Will. Appreciate it. I look at this stuff as an analyst, right? I never even considered taking that trade. Just because I saw what I saw doesn't mean I'm taking the trade. I'm more concerned with analyzing the things correctly than taking the trades anymore. You have to understand what stage of my life I'm at. I'm not new. I've been doing this for decades. I trade, but mainly I'm taking the swing trades, and I take some day trades here and there, the morning trade, that type of thing. But all these other things we look at, just because I'm looking at it doesn't mean I'm taking the trade. No, Nick, you're talking about CHPT, charge point. We talked about it yesterday with Will, and I gave him some parameters, and we were Will was he looked at it, he was bringing back up the point that what I said happened and then some. So I appreciate that, but no, that wasn't like a trade to say, here, do this. We were just looking at it because we looked at it yesterday and it did the thing we talked about. That was it. You didn't miss anything. And I even said just now, I never even considered taking this trade. I was just analyzing it. And to me, that's what makes me happy. Just being right. Honestly, I would say I'm happier being right for the benefit of you all, telling you whatever you want to know about whatever market or stock or whatever, than taking a trade for myself, making a little bit of money and not telling anybody. I would rather do the analysis and be right for the benefit of others. That's the stage of my life I'm at. Crazy as that sounds. Like people will say, well, if you're so good at this, why don't you just do it by yourself? What do you need to run a business for? Well, because I can run a business and it's more fun and it's my choice. It's a good business. Look at what happens. I'm teaching you, you're making money, right? Some more than others, some are coming along, some are low on the learning curve, some are higher on the learning curve. But I'm teaching you, I'm giving you specific trades, specific numbers. You're making money, you're learning. That's the stage of my life I'm at. That makes me happy. Nothing's going to happen with AMD at 1 p.m., Will. I hate to tell you. Nothing. Just because they're starting a meeting or a conference or a dog and pony show doesn't mean anything. That's the whole point, Will. You have to see it work in order to know it works. And here's what I recommend for a lot of traders, whether you ever heard me say it or not, here it is. If you're new to me or new to trading or both, start with the micro contracts, the MES contracts. It's 1 for 10. So while the ES is $50 a point per contract, the micro is 5. So you can do that with 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, whatever you want to do. But you can learn without betting the farm. And you can prove to yourself that it works by virtue of the account goes from lower left to upper right in terms of earnings, in terms of growth. And until you can prove that to yourself and say, all right, now I can let this compound, I could step it up a little bit, I can trade the regular ES, whatever. Then until you can prove to yourself it works, then it doesn't work. You can't just say it works. You have to prove it on paper, in an account with real money, not a demo account. Yeah, Lee did that with the MES. He's living proof, he says right now. Thank you. It's just a logical way to go, isn't it? It doesn't matter how much money you make while you're learning. That's not the point. The point is to learn, to prove that you can do it, and then the money will follow. Lee, how long you been doing this with me? How long you been in the room? 20 trading days. There's your answer, Nick. Nick was asking. So Lee started out with the MES, or he switched to the MES, whatever it was. And he's doing exactly what we just said. And he's not the only one, because I've said this many times before. It's the way to go. Yeah, Nick says you're a smart guy. Thank you. I thanked him for you. So what do we have in our hands right now? We have a floating operation. There's no trade. They can spike the high and pull it back up, or they can keep going to 437.90, 438. Anything goes at this point in the day, which is why we're going to wrap it up. Last call for alcohol. I'll give it a couple of minutes, put anything on your mind in the box, and then we'll give it a wrap. You take a nice day and put it in the books and go on until tomorrow. I'll be back in a minute or so. Nothing in the box. I think everybody's satisfied for today. Well, I don't know that. Questions, comments, complaints. Are there any complaints? Like the ones I get in my email. You stink, your numbers don't work, you're wrong, all this stuff. It's funny. I'm going to wait a minute or two to see what they do with this surge. What was the old high? 27. Current high, 33. Another spike the high and pull it back down in the other direction. Just for a couple of points, but that still did it. Same routine all the time. Isn't amazing? That's twice they did it today. Nice pullback. All right, that's it. That's all she wrote today. Appreciate everybody. Don't do stupid stuff in the afternoon. Keep the money in your pocket, all that stuff. Those of you with those nice big juicy days, the adult numbers, keep them in your pocket. If you're going to take a trade for whatever your reason is, only risk a small portion of the profits, not the entire caboodle. If you're up $2,000, risk 250. 500 bucks max. If you have to risk anything at all, I wouldn't. I would keep the $2,000 in my pocket. All right, folks. Enjoy the afternoon. Don't do stupid stuff. Appreciate everybody. We'll be back tomorrow in uniform, ready to go. I think it was a good day. I enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it. And we'll do it again. Thanks, folks. Enjoy the afternoon. 30 ES points, Thomas. That's fantastic. That's unbelievable. That's fantastic. All right, folks. You're right, Will. All right. We'll see you guys tomorrow.